Hello and welcome to our edition of Our Take. I am Ashwin Ahmad and joining me is Nitin Gokhale and Parul Chandra. And today we're going to be talking about the dastardly terror attack that took place in Pulwama today. Nitin, I'd like to turn to you. The suicide bomber attack in Pulwama has raised alarm bells amongst our security forces. Where do you think there were perhaps lapses in intelligence and otherwise, and what can we do to rectify this?
Well, it's too strong a word to say intelligence lapse because the routine that the security forces follow in Jammu and Kashmir is that they have to travel by convoys. Unfortunately, for the CRPF and for the state, the road between Jammu and Srinagar was closed for close to 4 or 5 days, and therefore there was a backlog of the troops stationed in Jammu at a transit camp, waiting for the road to open to get into their respective posts for deployment. They were all coming back from leave. So the CRPF thought that since it's become very essential that everybody comes into Srinagar back to their duty, they started this convoy at 3:30 in the morning on Thursday. And normally a convoy would consist of about 20 odd vehicles. This convoy was nearly 77 or 78 vehicles and must have stretched miles together. So therefore it was a very juicy target for any suicide bomber, any attack, something of that kind. Now, yes, there is some report that the police had given some of those warnings or intelligence reports that there could be a suicide attack or there could be ID attack on convoys, so please sanitize the areas that you are working in. But that's too generic, and in this particular case, this suicide bomber rammed his vehicle from a side road onto the national highway. It's not as if he was traveling along the convoy or something of that kind. But that's what I think today's reports have also said, Parul.
Yeah, that's right, Nitin. But I think one other point that we also need to highlight is the fact that civilian traffic was being allowed to ply along with this convoy of security vehicles. I think this was not allowed till some years ago, but then the authorities decided, I think, perhaps for earning the goodwill of people, they allowed civilian traffic to move along with security vehicles, and that has proved to be the undoing in the case of the Pulwama attack.
Yes, but to update, what's happened today, the Home Minister has now said it in Srinagar that we will now, for some months at least, stop civilian traffic when the convoys are moving. He also said to the people of Jammu and Kashmir that yes, we know you will be put at some kind of inconvenience, but this is necessary because this is a new tactic. Like Parul said, until say 6 or 7 years ago, civilian traffic used to be either stopped or regulated when convoys used to move. Earlier convoys used to move in the early hours of the day or late evening, but then there was this fear of attack, so they had sort of tried to do it in the daytime, and therefore this thing. So I will not jump to conclusion that there was an intelligence lapse. Maybe there was some kind of a report that was there, but that couldn't be completely verified and people didn't take it seriously. And also what happens is that when these attacks are planned, terrorists have the advantage of surprise or choosing their place and time to attack, and that's exactly what happened in this case.
Now I want to ask you, in the immediate aftermath, India has withdrawn the MFN status to Pakistan. What impact do you think it will have, if any, Parul?
Well, I think it is going to impact Pakistan because we have not, we've given MFN status to Pakistan, but Pakistan never gave India MFN status. It came very close to giving it MFN status about 6 or 7 years ago, but given the political situation in Pakistan, it never happened. Now that we are going to withdraw this MFN status, it means that it will not be easy for Pakistan to send its goods to India, and they will come onto this negative list. So that will certainly impact Pakistan. But more than that, I think the diplomatic fallout of this incident is going to be huge on Pakistan. India has got support from a large number of countries, including the US and countries in the neighborhood, backing India and condemning Pakistan for this attack. But really, we have to see where China goes on this matter. They've condemned the attack, but they've supported Pakistan and not allowed Masood Azhar, the head of Jaish-e-Mohammed, which is the organization which is said to be behind this attack, to be designated a terrorist by the UNSC.
Yes, in fact, Jaish-e-Mohammed is the terrorist group that is claimed that they were behind this. This is brazen. This is a very big provocation. You will recall when the Uri attack happened, where 18 or 19 soldiers were killed in 2016. At that time, nobody claimed the attack or the success of the attack or the ownership of the attack. In this case, it seems Pakistan or Pakistan Army has now decided to just escalate the matter and use Jaish-e-Mohammed as its sword arm and not use the Lashkar-e-Toiba, which is under a lot of global scrutiny and global sanctions to hit out against India. And that's why we'll have to wait and watch what happens with the Jaish-e-Mohammed in coming months.
Nitin, I'd like to put this to you. I mean, we've been down this road before. Global condemnation against Pakistan from the US and almost every major country in the world has come condemning Pakistan for harboring terrorists. But so far, little has happened. Do you expect that to change this time round? And if so, in what way can we do that?
Well, it won't change substantially. But what I think will change is this, that for the first time, India has walked the talk in saying that we will withdraw the most favored nation status. Because even in the Mumbai attack or the Uri attack, there was the proposal to cancel that MFN status to Pakistan.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Yeah, we thought of reviewing the MFN status even after the 2016 Uri attacks, but it didn't really happen. But then after the 2016 attacks, we also said that we'll review the Indus Waters Treaty.
Yes.
And it's one treaty that has stood the test of time. It's a 1960 treaty, and neither country has breached this treaty.
That's right. So we will wait and watch.
Yes.
So what other things like you may want to understand, our viewers may want to understand, is that MFN is the first step. Then you must have heard, people must have heard Finance Minister Arun Jaitley briefing the media immediately after the Cabinet Committee on Security meeting, where he said that there will be other steps taken to isolate Pakistan globally. And I think that process has already begun immediately. As we speak, today I think the India's External Affairs Ministry has briefed major countries, US, UK, Germany, France, Italy, Australia, Canada. All of them have been briefed in the MEA about what India thinks about this attack and what India is planning to do. And almost all P5 countries have, not all, in fact all P5 countries have been briefed, including the Chinese ambassador in Delhi has been briefed. So that's something which had happened earlier, but this MFN is the first step, withdrawing the MFN status to Pakistan. Second is to try and isolate it internationally, diplomatically. And we still haven't got to the second stage, which is a military option.
I'd like to take up your point which you had talked about, Maulana Masood Azhar. Now we have tried ad nauseum to get him declared a global terrorist, and we all know why it hasn't happened.
Yes.
It's because of China. Now, are there any steps, Nitin, that you would advocate where we could perhaps work with Beijing, talk to Beijing to ensure that perhaps they would be willing to give Masood Azhar that global terrorist status?
I think again China will also, my sense is that China will also like to review its stand, although it has immediately said that it is not going to do it. But India will have to diplomatically work with China. In fact, I've written a piece on our website in the wake of the Pulwama attack saying that India may have to nudge China on Masood Azhar. Again, there's no harm in trying. it's like what happened with the with India's attempt to get membership of the NSG, the Nuclear Suppliers Group. While we knew that China will continue to oppose India, we made our point and we sort of isolated China in a way in that process where everybody was trying to support India or was supporting India, and China was a lone ranger in that sense. Although they have the power, they can still block designation of Masood Azhar as a terrorist. And frankly, and correct me Parul if I'm wrong, that designating a fellow as a terrorist, UN designated terrorist, doesn't substantially change the nature of that organization or that leader, the terrorist leader. But it makes a point. And India has consistently tried to make this point, and which sort of makes a noise, which is useful. And I think India must continue to work with other P4 countries, other P5 countries, and then also work with China separately. India can always sort of, I won't say blackmail, but work on China by saying, let's go by the Wuhan spirit. Because you need us in your trade war with US. We need you for Masood Azhar, for our issues with Pakistan. Can we do this? I think that would be a way forward. I don't know what the MEA would do or the government of India would do. But if I was in their place, I would try this.
I think a long road lies ahead for India where persuading China to support India on Masood Azhar is concerned, because India has been trying very hard in recent years and it hasn't succeeded so far. And in fact, after the Pulwama attack, there is this whole question being raised about the Wuhan spirit and what came out of it if India is not even able to persuade China to back India on action against Masood Azhar. But I think it's also something easier said than done. And as far as diplomatic isolation is concerned, India did try it in the past. It tried it after the Uri attack, and let's hope that that works. India has called its ambassador, its High Commissioner in Islamabad to New Delhi for consultations, and the Pakistani High Commissioner was summoned by the Foreign Secretary, Mr. Jaish-e-Mohammed, to South Block this afternoon, and a strong demarche was issued. And let's see what happens. There is some kind of expectation that India might downgrade ties with Islamabad by recalling its ambassador, but let's see what happens in the next few days.
I'm glad you brought that up. I just want to now ask you, there are going to be some tough days ahead.
Yes.
There's going to be great pressure on our Prime Minister, on our government to act. And on the global front, all eyes will be on the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan as to what he will do. There are some, if one can call it, dark days ahead. But do you see some flickers of hope, some like that, perhaps some normalcy can come about at maybe further on? Are there some?
No.
I'm afraid these are, this is only a fond hope. Given the fact that India-Pakistan relations have been frozen over for the last 4 years,
right.
And even India's policy vis-a-vis Kashmir has been to not engage with the separatists or only go down the hardline way. It has resulted in a number of casualties, a number of security people being killed has gone up substantially. But from what I sense is that all other ways, all other efforts have been tried with Pakistan and in Kashmir, where you tried to engage, you tried to have a bus yatra, you had Prime Minister Modi dropping in Nawaz Sharif's family wedding, but each time Pakistan has retaliated or paid back by launching some kind of an attack or the other. So this time I think the government has decided we will completely disengage with Pakistan. Most people don't like it, but this is another attempt of dealing with the problem that has been there with us since 1947. So therefore, where do we go? What is our take on this? Is that there are dark days ahead. There is a possibility of a kinetic action by India. What I mean by kinetic action is a military action. What and when and where, we don't know. Obviously, nobody is going to tell us. But almost everyone in this country is expecting some kind of a retaliation, some kind of a revenge. And whether that will come or not will depend on how India sees this to its advantage. But I think speaking to different military people, I get a sense, I still haven't been able to speak to anybody in the government, but speaking to different military people, the sense is that we have to act according to our national interest. India has to act according to India's national interest and not bother about what the world thinks about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think on that note, unless you have any other query or any other point to make.
I want to thank you both for your time. I just want to know one final thoughts from you on the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan seems to be a man with very limited options at the moment. What do you think are the possible measures that he could take to show India that he's serious?
None at all, I think.
I don't think so.
He has options.
As of now, until this time, as we speak, he hasn't even condemned the attack. Only the Foreign Office issued a pro forma short statement.
Yes.
But the Pakistani Prime Minister hasn't spoken. So he's perhaps waiting for a signal from Rawalpindi, GHQ, to utter what he needs to say, or they want to clear that first before he speaks. So that's the weakness of a Pakistani Prime Minister, especially Imran Khan. So don't expect too much from Imran Khan or the political establishment.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, Nitin and Parul. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Our Take.